These Western remakes had everything going for them: big stars, high-stakes stories, even approval from legends like Roger Ebert. But somehow, Hollywood let them slip through the cracks. From a gritty take on the Alamo to a country music Western crossover, these films deserved way more attention than they got. Let's see what makes these overlooked remakes so unforgettable. The 1960 version of The Alamo was a passion project for John Wayne. He directed, starred in it, and made it a box office hit, even if critics questioned its historical accuracy. But in 2004, Hollywood tried again with Dennis Quaid, Billy Bob Thornton, and Patrick Wilson, aiming for a more accurate portrayal of the legendary battle. Critics didn't warm up to this version either, and it became one of the biggest box office flops in history. Still, Roger Ebert saw something in it, praising its sense of dread and loneliness as men awaited almost certain death. Shifting from the American frontier to the Australian outback, Ned Kelly tells the story of Australia's infamous outlaw. The first movie adaptation in 1970 starred none other than Mick Jagger, but that version was a critical disaster and so chaotic that Jagger later disowned it. Fast forward to 2003, Heath Ledger took on the role with Orlando Bloom, Naomi Watts, and Geoffrey Rush rounding out an all-star cast. The cinematography was stunning, the acting top-notch, but despite all that, the film barely made a dent at the box office. The original High Noon in 1952 was groundbreaking, shifting away from classic Western tropes to focus on emotional depth and character drama. It was a major hit, winning 4 Oscars. In 2000, a remake starring Tom Skerritt and Susanna Thompson premiered on TBS. Without a blockbuster budget, it focused on what made the original work: the tension, the drama, and the inner struggle of its hero. James Garner's Brett Maverick was an icon of the 50s and 60s Westerns, both on TV and the big screen. The 1994 remake brought the character back to life with Mel Gibson in the lead, joined by Jodie Foster and, in a perfect twist, Garner himself. The movie is packed with action, humor, and nostalgia, and if you're a fan of classic Westerns, it's a treasure trove of cameos. The original Dawn Rider from 1935 starred a young John Wayne as John Mason, a man out for revenge. The 2012 remake brought Christian Slater into the role, with Jill Hennessy and Donald Sutherland in supporting roles. This version took what worked in the original and went deeper, adding complexity to Mason's character and giving the romance a central place in the story. In Four Brothers, Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese Gibson, Andre Benjamin, and Garrett Hedlund team up to avenge their adoptive mother's murder. Set in modern-day Detroit, this film goes hard, packed with fast-paced action and raw revenge. The movie drew mixed reactions, holding a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, with some critics calling out its vigilante vibe. But look closer, and you'll see it's a modern spin on the Sons of Katie Elder, swapping out the dusty trails for urban grit. Disney's The Lone Ranger aimed to reboot a classic tale, pouring a massive budget into the action-packed epic. Despite the hype and some stunning visuals, it bombed at the box office, partly due to controversy over Johnny Depp's casting as Tonto. But strip away the noise, and there's a solid, well-acted Western here with jaw-dropping stunts and gorgeous cinematography. The 1939 Stagecoach set the standard for Westerns and launched John Wayne's career. Decades later, it was revived as a made-for-TV movie with a twist: country legends Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and Chris Christopherson. This version may lack the legacy of its predecessors, but these music icons bring their personalities to the classic roles, making it a fun, unique take on the original story. It's a hidden gem that deserves another ride. Sofia Coppola's remake of The Beguiled didn't try to reinvent the story. Instead, it deepened the haunting vibe of the 1971 original. Coppola brought together Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, and Ella Fanning to tell this dark, intense tale. The film premiered at Cannes, where Coppola became only the second woman to win Best Director. Despite the acclaim, it didn't get the box office attention it deserved. Remaking Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven is no small feat. Rather than a straight copy, director Lee Sang-il took the story and transported it to 19th century Japan, replacing cowboys with samurais. The result is a beautiful reimagining that feels both familiar and entirely fresh. While it may not have reached global fame, it resonated in Japan, where it scored an impressive 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.